Please, y'all. Please stop sharing them posters of my sister, please. Please stop sharing that post of my baby sister on that ground, please. Get y'all, please.
On the morning of September 5th, 2025, the sound of gunfire shattered what should have been a peaceful school drop-off in Chicago's South Loop. Parents screamed, children cried, and in the chaos, 31-year-old mother Romeca Meeks-Blackmon lay motionless on the pavement, a bullet wound to her face. Moments before, she had kissed her 6-year-old son goodbye, walking him into school like any other day. Minutes later, she would become the center of a tragedy that has shaken an entire community, a story of love, jealousy, and unanswered justice. Before we go deeper into this heartbreaking story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss a case here on Shadow Crime, where we uncover the hidden truths behind the darkest stories. If you want to know the full story of how Romeca Meeks died and what led to that fatal morning, make sure to watch our previous video on this case, because today we're diving into what happened after crime, the investigation, the reactions from her family, and the unanswered questions that still haunt Chicago. Romeca Meeks-Blackmon wasn't just another name in the news. She was a mother, a sister, a daughter, and a friend. She lived in Chicago and was described by those who knew her as vibrant, strong, and deeply loving toward her son. Family said she worked hard to provide for him and had dreams of creating a better future for both of them. Her mother, Tina McMiller, would later describe her as a light in every room she walked into, someone who always put her child first, even when life got difficult.
Courtney Spinelli has been speaking with people who know the victim, and she has more.
The deadly shooting happened this morning right here along Cermak near State after loved ones of the victim say she had just dropped her son at school. Sources close to the investigation say a woman is in custody after allegedly pulling the trigger. A close friend of the 31-year-old woman killed says she was an outstanding mom who always showed up for her son. She says the victim, who authorities have not yet identified by name, was one of the purest souls in the life of their friend group. She was in school working to become a nurse.
But behind the smiles, there was tension, the kind that often brews quietly until it explodes. According to reports and social media accounts, Romeca had ongoing issues with the father of her child, known by some as Carlos, and another woman allegedly involved with him, Quadija Holly Johnson. Their situation had reportedly been filled with arguments and jealousy, the kind of emotional storm that too many families get caught in. That morning, things took a tragic turn outside her son's school on South State Street. Witnesses said Romeca got into an argument that quickly escalated. One eyewitness told police that Carlos had Romeca in a headlock when Holly went in her car, grabbed a gun, and shot her at close range. The entire confrontation unfolded in seconds, right in front of bystanders and near a school filled with children. When police arrived, they found Romeca lying on the ground with a fatal gunshot wound to her face. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Officers detained the suspected shooter, Quadija Johnson, and recovered a handgun from the area.
She's the one who shot her. But she shot her. The gun in the car. The gun in the car. Oh my! The baby in the car. How you close to the doctor? Get up. You scared as hell, right? Scared as hell. You had it, buddy. Scared as hell. That is not self-defense. You were trying to self in the car, bro. You're trying to hit the car, bro. What are you talking about? You had her in a headlock. When you shot her, Brody, I was there. Oh, I just said, man, don't worry about it.
I'm arrested. There's a fucking gun on the street. I'm licensed to carry.
It doesn't matter.
You shot somebody, nigga. What's wrong with you?
Calm down. Down, go back down.
He out his mother. He out his. She put the gun in the car. The gun, she shot her? Let's go right here. She shot her. She shot her. She put the gun in the car. She put the gun in the car. The gun is in the car. Arrest her.
At first, it seemed like a straightforward arrest, a senseless act of violence in broad daylight, caught in part on camera and witnessed by multiple people. But what followed would only deepen the outrage and confusion surrounding this case. Despite being taken into custody, Johnson was later released without charges. Authorities said they didn't have enough evidence at that time to proceed. The mention of self-defense started circulating, reportedly coming from the suspect's side. But for Romeca's family, that explanation felt like a slap in the face. They couldn't understand how an unarmed mother could be shot dead in public. Yet the person responsible walked free within hours. The police described the case as domestic in nature, meaning it stemmed from a personal relationship rather than random violence. But that label didn't make the pain any easier for her family to bear. Her mother, Tina, and her sister took to social media, expressing heartbreak and anger, demanding justice, and calling out what they saw as a failure of the system.
Please, y'all. Please stop sharing them. Poses of my sister, please. Please stop sharing that post of my baby sister on that ground, please. Get y'all, please. For my mama and for me and my siblings' sake. Please, y'all. My sister is gone.
At candlelight vigils held in Romeca's honor, the community gathered to mourn. Friends describe her as a woman with a contagious smile, someone who didn't deserve the ending she got. Her sister posted emotional messages online, writing that the family wouldn't rest until justice was served. Her mother publicly confronted the state's attorney's office, asking why the killer of her daughter hadn't been charged. Even as weeks passed, the pain didn't fade. The family continued to speak out, saying they were tired of seeing black women's deaths treated like background noise. They wanted people to say her name, Romeca Meeks-Blackmon, and remember that she was more than a headline. After the shooting, Chicago police immediately began their investigation. Detectives from Area 3 combed through surveillance footage, spoke to witnesses, and gathered physical evidence from the scene. A gun was recovered, and several shell casings were collected for ballistic testing. To the public, it seemed like justice would move quickly. But when word spread that the suspect, Quadaja Holly Johnson, had been released without charges, confusion and anger exploded across social media. People couldn't understand how someone could shoot a mother in front of witnesses and walk away free. Now, let's pause for a moment. What would you feel if that was your sister, your daughter, or your friend? Imagine watching someone you love taken away like that, only to find out no one's being held accountable. That's exactly what Romeca's family has been living with every single day. The police labeled the case a domestic-related incident, suggesting it was a dispute involving people who knew each other personally. But that explanation didn't ease the outrage. The community wanted answers. They wanted to know how a woman could be killed outside of school in broad daylight, and yet the shooter was claiming self-defense. Reports circulated that Johnson told authorities she fired her gun because she feared for her life. She reportedly held a legal concealed carry permit.
Hurt, sadness, and broken hearts are expressed on this board for 31-year-old Romeca Meeks-Blackmon.
I am broken. I am so broken.
Surrounded by family and overwhelmed by grief, Tina McMiller says she's heartbroken after losing her daughter to gun violence. Friday night, many gathered in Inglewood to remember a woman who was loved by many.
But witnesses and Romeca's family told a very different story. According to them, Romeca was unarmed and never posed a deadly threat. They said the altercation started when Carlos, the father of her child, confronted her. It was Johnson who escalated things by bringing out a gun. Romeca's mother, Tina, didn't stay silent. She spoke at a vigil held just days after her daughter's death. Through tears, she told reporters, "My baby didn't deserve this. She was a mother. She had a future." She begged for the suspect to be charged and for justice to be served. You could hear the pain in her voice, the kind of pain that never really goes away. Her sister also took to Facebook, sharing emotional posts that quickly went viral. She expressed frustration not only with the suspect, but with the entire justice system. "We're not letting this go," she wrote. "Romeca deserves justice." The family began attending protests, calling on the Cook County State's Attorney's Office to reopen the case and press charges. Meanwhile, people in Chicago started using hashtags like #JusticeForRomeca and #SayHerName, pushing the story across social media. Petitions began circulating online, demanding the authorities charge Quadaja Johnson and take the case seriously. Thousands of signatures poured in, showing that the community was standing with Romeca's family. Even though the suspect was out, the investigation wasn't officially closed. Detectives continued reviewing evidence and witness statements. Prosecutors said the decision to release Johnson didn't mean she was innocent. It just meant they needed more evidence before moving forward. Still, to Romeca's family, that explanation fell hollow. To them, the video clips, the eyewitness accounts, and the heartbreak should have been enough.
One of the witnesses also said the father of Blackmon's child had her in a headlock before the shots were fired.
It doesn't matter.
You shot somebody. What the wrong with you?
The man in the shorts is CJ's father. He's covered in blood.
How did she just walk away? How? When they told you that he had her in the headlock, how did he even walk away? Why did they was so easy to walk away? They tell me, look at the video, they bumping fences. I don't know about any of that because I really can't even focus.
The funeral was emotional. Family, friends, and community members filled the church, many dressed in white, others wearing T-shirts with Romeca's face printed on them. Her son, still too young to fully grasp what had happened, sat quietly as loved ones cried and prayed around him. The pastor spoke about forgiveness, but the atmosphere was heavy. Forgiveness was the last thing anyone felt ready to give. Outside, people released balloons into the sky, each one representing a piece of her light. Her sister thanked everyone for showing up, saying, "We'll keep her name alive. We'll keep fighting." The moment was beautiful and heartbreaking all at once.
Out charges. Her family is eagerly seeking justice. Romeca, also known as Big Meeks, was soon released among thousands of other balloons.
A reminder that while her life had ended, her story was far from over. Even after the funeral, the family continued pushing for answers. Her mother kept meeting with police and speaking with reporters, trying to make sure Romeca's case didn't fade away like so many others. They wanted the world to know that this wasn't just a story about a shooting. It was about a system that too often leaves families waiting for justice that never comes. As the days turned into weeks, frustration began to grow louder. People wanted to know why there had been no arrests, no charges, and no accountability. The Chicago Police Department kept their statements brief, saying the investigation was ongoing, but that wasn't enough for a grieving family who had just buried their daughter. Romeca's mother stood outside the police station during one of her interviews, looking straight into the camera and asking, "If this was your child, would you be this calm? Would you be this patient?" That question hit home for many viewers who had followed the story from day one. Her sister also kept using social media to keep the pressure on. She would post updates every few days, often ending with the same words, "We won't stop." Friends, classmates, and even strangers started sharing photos of Romeca with captions like, "She deserved better," and "Her life mattered." The city of Chicago, already tired of violence, seemed united behind one clear message, that justice for Romeca shouldn't take this long. Let's talk about the suspect for a moment. Quadija Holly Johnson. Reports say she claimed she fired in self-defense, saying she felt threatened during the argument. But here's where things get complicated. Multiple witnesses said Romeca was unarmed and that she was actually trying to walk away before things escalated. They said Johnson went to her car, pulled out her gun, and fired a single shot that ended Romeca's life. Those details left many people questioning the idea of self-defense. How could someone fear for their life if they had time to walk away, grab a weapon, and return to shoot? That question became the focus of heated debates online. Some believed Johnson would eventually be charged, while others feared the case might quietly fade from the headlines. Chicago police continued saying they were reviewing the evidence, but they wouldn't confirm any timeline. The state's attorney's office said the decision not to charge immediately was due to insufficient evidence, which to the family felt like an excuse. Meanwhile, more witnesses began to come forward. A few described seeing the argument from a distance, while others claimed they knew there had been tension between the three, Romeca, her child's father, and Holly, for some time. It was a love triangle that had turned deadly, one that might have been avoided if emotions hadn't boiled over that morning. At vigils and community events, Speakers use Romeca's story as a call for change. They talk about domestic violence, about jealousy, and about how arguments that start small can turn tragic when guns are involved. People began using her story to push for awareness, especially about gun use during domestic disputes.
Shortly before the shooting, and says as a mom herself, she's devastated by what happened.
What do you tell a kid when you just drop me off? How do you just say she's not here anymore? How do you explain it? It's so sad you can't even just think straight. I can't even get my words out just thinking about it bad happening right here by us.
Family and friends of the woman killed now searching for answers and justice after her life was cut short. Investigators say this wasn't random. The victim and suspect were known to each other.
It wasn't just about this one case anymore. It became about the many others like it that never make the news. But through all of this, the most powerful voices remained those of her mother and sister. Tina, her mom, told one reporter that every night she prays for her daughter's soul, but also prays that justice will come. "I want the woman who took my baby to feel what we feel," she said. Her sister added that it's been impossible to move on when they see the suspect living freely while they're living in grief. Even Romeca's baby daddy faced public backlash. Some family members blamed him for the events that led up to the tragedy, though details about his reaction have stayed mostly private. There are posts suggesting he's been silent since the shooting, which only fueled speculation and anger online. As the investigation continued, supporters launched petitions demanding that charges be filed. Thousands of people signed them, tagging the city's officials and demanding updates. Hashtags like Justice for Romeca continued to circulate, and YouTubers, bloggers, and activists started covering the story to amplify her voice. The community's message was clear. If the system fails to protect mothers like Romeca, then the people will hold it accountable themselves. Everyone wanted answers, and more than that, they wanted change.
Yeah, shut down. You don't want to be around nobody.
Chicago police say the person taken into custody after the fatal shooting has been released without charges. Her family is eagerly seeking justice. Romeca, also known as Big Meeks, was soon released among thousands of other balloons.
Months have now passed since that tragic morning, yet the wound it left on the community remains fresh. Romeca Meeks-Blackmon's name still echoes through Chicago streets, through hashtags, and through the hearts of those who knew her. People are still asking the same question: why has there been no justice? The case is technically still under investigation, but the silence surrounding it feels heavier with each passing week. For many, that silence speaks louder than any official statement ever could. The police continue to say they're reviewing evidence, but the family feels like time is being used as an excuse. They pleaded publicly for updates, held marches, and attended community meetings demanding accountability. It's not just about punishment anymore. It's about closure. Her mother, Tina, said during one interview, "I wake up every morning thinking about my baby. I go to bed crying because she's not here." They say justice takes time, but how long does it take when the whole thing was caught on video? Those words broke hearts across social media. People could feel her pain because it was raw, honest, and real. The funeral may have come and gone, but the fight hasn't stopped. Her family continues to host memorials, fundraisers, and online campaigns to keep Romeca's story alive. Friends describe her as a woman who loved deeply, worked hard, and always showed up for her son. That's what makes this tragedy even more painful. She died right after doing what every loving parent does, dropping off her child at school. At one of the vigils held months after her passing, her sister spoke again. This time, her voice was steady but firm. She said, "We're not asking for revenge. We're asking for justice. We want the world to remember her name, not just for how she died, but for who she was." The crowd responded with chants of justice for Romeca, candles flickering in the cool night air. It was a moment of unity, but also a reminder of how broken the system can feel when it fails the people it's meant to protect. Even the public reaction hasn't slowed. Comment sections, podcasts, and online forums continue to discuss the case. Many believe the claim of self-defense doesn't align with what witnesses described. Others point out how cases involving domestic disputes often get complicated by emotions, bias, and legal loopholes. But one thing everyone seems to agree on is that a woman died, and her killer walked free. at least for now. And as we close this chapter of the story, I want you to think about this. What drives someone to end another person's life in the heat of emotion? Could this tragedy have been prevented if someone had walked away sooner? Or is this just another example of how jealousy and anger can turn love into something deadly? Romeca Meeks-Blackmon's story isn't just about one crime. It's about every warning sign ignored, every argument that spiraled out of control, and every mother taken too soon. Her case reminds us how fragile life is, and how quickly things can change in a single moment. If you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. Do you think justice will ever be served for Romeca? What do you believe really happened that morning? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to stay updated with our latest true crime stories right here on Shadow Crime. Because every story deserves to be told, and every voice deserves to be heard.